If you've been exhausted no matter how much you sleep, your hair's been thinning, or you're cold all the time and nobody can explain why, here's a deficiency that gets missed on standard blood work far more oftentimes than people realize. I'm Dr. Paul. I'm a licensed chiropractic physician and board-certified family nurse practitioner for 25 years in practice. And today, I'm going to walk you through the signs of iron deficiency doctors often overlook and why your labs can say normal while you still feel this way. Like and subscribe if this is useful for you. Let's get into it. Part 1 is why normal blood work doesn't rule this out. Here's the piece almost nobody explains clearly. There's a difference between iron deficiency and iron deficiency anemia, and most standard checkups only catch the second one. Anemia means your hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in your blood, has dropped low enough to show up as abnormal on a basic complete blood count. But your body's iron stores, measured by a marker called ferritin, can be running low for months or even years before hemoglobin ever drops. That's iron deficiency without anemia, and it's a real symptomatic condition on its own. Checking iron levels isn't a standard part of a typical annual physical. Your doctor has to specifically order a ferritin test, and if nobody thinks to ask for it, it simply doesn't get checked. So you can walk out with normal blood work and still be functionally iron deficient this whole time. Part 2 is the signs that get dismissed. Let's go through what this actually looks like, because a lot of these get written off as something else entirely. The most obvious one is fatigue that doesn't match your sleep. You're getting a full night's rest and still dragging by mid-morning. That happens because without enough iron, your blood cells can't carry oxygen efficiently to your muscles and organs, so everything runs on a lower fuel supply. Next is unexplained hair thinning or brittle nails. Your body treats hair and nail growth as non-essential when iron is scarce. It prioritizes your heart, brain, and vital organs first, and hair follicles are one of the first places to feel the shortage. Then there's cold hands and feet. Even in a warm room, poor oxygen circulation affects how your body regulates temperature, and this is one people almost never connect back to iron. Restlessness in your legs at night, especially right as you're trying to fall asleep, is another one worth paying attention to. There's a documented link between low brain iron and restless leg symptoms specifically. And this next one surprised me when I looked deeper into the research. Mood changes, including anxiety, and low mood that don't have an obvious trigger. Iron is a required cofactor for your brain to actually manufacture serotonin and dopamine, the neurotransmitters tied to mood and motivation. Research has found that as ferritin drops, plasma serotonin regulation shifts, and low iron status has been linked to higher depression scores in multiple studies. This is a mechanism that most people, including some providers, don't connect to iron at all. Part 3 is why this is especially missed in midlife women. This deficiency has a specific blind spot in perimenopause and menopause, and here's why. During perimenopause, cycles often become heavier and more irregular before they stop altogether. And heavier menstrual bleeding is one of the most common causes of iron depletion in women. At the exact same time, symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, and mood changes are already expected as normal perimenopause symptoms. So when a patient reports feeling exhausted and foggy, both she and her provider often assume it's just hormonal, and iron never gets checked at all. Once someone reaches full menopause and periods stop, that risk factor goes away, and iron stores can actually normalize or even rise. But the window during the transition itself, when cycles are heaviest and most unpredictable, is exactly when iron deficiency is most likely to develop and most likely to be missed, because everyone's looking at hormones instead. Part 4 is what to actually ask for. If some of this sounds familiar, here's what to bring to your next appointment. Ask specifically for a ferritin test, not just a standard complete blood count. Ferritin reflects your stored iron. Think of hemoglobin as your checking account and ferritin as your savings account. You can have a completely normal checking account balance while your savings is nearly empty. Also worth knowing, lab reference ranges for normal ferritin often starts as low as 10 to 15, but research shows that levels below 30 are strongly associated with iron deficiency symptoms, even though a lab might still flag that number as technically in range. The gap between normal and optimal is exactly where a lot of women get told everything's fine when it really isn't. If your ferritin comes back low, talk to your provider about the next steps. That might mean dietary changes, iron supplementation, or if levels are significantly low, further workup to understand why. This isn't something to self-treat with high doses of supplements without guidance, since too much iron carries its own risks. So to bring this together, iron deficiency can exist long before anemia shows up on standard blood tests. The symptoms overlap heavily with normal perimenopause complaints, and that overlap is exactly why it gets missed. If you've been feeling exhausted, foggy, or off, and you've been told your blood work is fine, ferritin specifically might be worth asking about. If this connected some dots for you, go watch my video, 6 Hormone Imbalance Symptoms Doctors Miss, where I cover more of the patterns that get overlooked in exactly the same way. Like and subscribe if this was useful for you. Let's get to work.